This season, Barcelona's defense has been known for being the best in La Liga, and you could even argue that it's the best in the world right now. The backline of Baldé, Christensen, Araujo and Koundé might end up being the reason why Barcelona win La Liga at the end of the season. But while there's been a lot of hype around him, Garcia has slowly disappeared from the radar and hasn't really been talked about that much anymore. Xavi has even preferred to play Marcos Alonso over him at centre back in some games. So, does the 22-year-old still have a future at this club, and can he actually become successful at the club that brought him up? In this video, we'll take a closer look at it, so definitely make sure to stay tuned. To highlight the fact that Garcia has been struggling to get playing time this season, let's look at exactly how little he's played. In La Liga, he's played 745 minutes in total, which is less than Araujo and Christensen, who've both been out injured for a part of the season. So Garcia has obviously not been Xavi's first choice as centre back, which is maybe logical when you consider Xavi's got two world-class defenders like Araujo and Christensen at his disposal. Where it gets worrying though is the fact that in total in La Liga last season, Garcia played a total amount of 2041 minutes. And as we're already in the second half of the season now, it's very likely that he won't even get close to that anymore this season. Garcia as a 22-year-old might not be the finished product yet, but he has definitely got potential. To fulfill that potential though, he needs game time, which is why the fact that he's getting less game time than previous season is worrying for his future. So, can he still turn this around and become important in Xavi's team? Well, I don't think that he will soon become an important player for Xavi, as the backline right now functions perfectly and there's just no reason to change something that's working just fine. As Koundé and Araujo are both 23, Baldé is 18 and Christensen is 26, this backline could also very well be Xavi's main go-to defense for the next 4 years. So, if you're Garcia, how do you make sure you get enough playing time in this team too? Well, the most important thing to do is to perform when Xavi plays him. Not in every game Xavi will go for that same defensive line, which means that Garcia will still get the necessary chances to prove himself in a Blaugrana shirt, because I don't think Barcelona are going to sell him in the coming summer, as it is still good to have rotational options at centre back in case someone gets injured. For Araujo's spots, I don't think he can really compete. Araujo is probably one of Xavi's most valuable players, and Garcia might be talented, but he's not much compared to Araujo, who might literally be the best defender in the world right now. That means that if Garcia wants to get himself into the starting lineup again, it will be in that position and role that Christensen now occupies in the starting lineup. Christensen is basically Garcia's competition. This makes sense too, because they are quite similar defenders. They're both calm and composed on the ball, very academic and not the most loud players who cheer on the other players all the time. This is of course perfect to combine with a defender like Araujo, who's more brutal, unorthodox sometimes and keeps everyone sharp during the game. Christensen and Garcia both fit perfectly next to someone like him, so that's obviously not where the problem for Garcia lies. During the following months and next season, he just needs to grab every opportunity that he gets, and if he does manage to perform well, Xavi can easily start to play him more instead of Christensen. So, the coming 2 years, let's say, he will still have a chance at Barcelona. He just needs to seize every opportunity that he gets, cause otherwise someone like Garcia will always be above him in Xavi's pecking order. In the further future, Barcelona might even sell him if he doesn't have any more playing time than he has now, cause after a while they might start to get interested in another defender, or there might be another talented defender coming up through the ranks of La Masia. So if he cannot turn the situation around, he will basically become kind of a Marc Bartra 2.0. That's why it's crucial for Garcia to prove himself in the coming years with every chance that he gets. On the other hand, he might have become a defender who is able to genuinely compete with Christensen for his spots, and in that case there will be a point where Christensen is about 28 years old, whereas Garcia will be 24. In that situation, if Barcelona thinks about selling one of the two, they would probably rather sell Christensen. Garcia has still got that advantage of being young. If he starts fulfilling his potential during the coming years, there will be a point where he becomes too good not to put in the starting lineup. And all of that while he'll still be rather young, and he can still go on for longer than someone like Christensen who is 4 years older. It's definitely not over yet for Garcia at Barcelona. To succeed, he just needs to truly perform when Xavi plays him, something that he might certainly have the qualities for. He was brought up in La Masia and knows the system, he's a great defender on the ball, and with time he probably has the potential to become prolific too when it comes to any defensive abilities. Apart from that, he's basically perfect to complement someone like Ronald Araujo. Whether he's going to make it will all depend on whether he can really compete with Christensen for that spot at centre back, which is definitely not easy, but hey, it's Barcelona, of course it is not easy. If he doesn't succeed after all, then it's just because he was not good enough, and if he does, then he can become a reliable option at centre back for the next decade. It's going to be interesting to see how his Barca career turns out, and I hope for him that he will still have a great career at this club. That was it for today's video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed it, and feel free to share your own opinion on Eric Garcia in the comments down below. Forza Barça, and have a good day.